everyone, welcome back to Visual Effects Artists React. Today we have an incredibly special episode. You probably saw, Rogue One, Godzilla, his breakout film Monsters. Oh, and the creator, which is nominated for an Academy Award in visual effects, which is sweet because we love VFX here, and that's what the show is all about. You're gonna want to clear the next 4 hours, Gareth, because we're gonna go through every single one of your films and nitpick it.
So back before you started directing movies, you were actually doing visual effects every day as like your day job, right?
And it led to this show,
Attilla The Hun.
I directed this, but also did all the visual effects. There's about 250 of them.
Dang, okay.
Kind of a nightmare to do, but there was loads of cheap tricks. It was me, so inspired by Lord of the Rings.
This looks so good.
What the heck? That was a Lord of the Rings shot right here. That's straight out of Lord of the Rings, come on.
You look at a shot and go, how can you do this? And so we got a treadmill and then basically filmed a few different people walking on it, and then you can, in After Effects, put them all together as cards. So in 3ds Max, you can basically make particles follow a terrain and have a giant army. And there's little tricks going on. I've added a little occlusion on the ground, dust and things like this. And then didn't have drones back then, so this is basically a photograph projected onto a curved surface.
Oh, sure,
And then as the camera, if you look at the trees, they warp, right? Completely warping. But your brain's not looking over there, so you get away with it. So every shot was done in a day. I had 250 shots to do. That was my schedule. Oh my God, this is taking me back. All the pain and sleepless nights.
It's so funny. You really underplay your VFX skills, but this is the most competent example of using visual effects. You have 3D, you have projections, you have green screens, live elements, really great camera motion, cinematography, all combined into one big shot. It's awesome.
So then you get a movie like Monsters here. It feels like you kind of just went on a road trip with them and it was just the three of you and you made a movie.
We didn't have a screenplay because the idea was the second you have a screenplay, you're now chasing this very specific thing. Instead of writing a script, I ended up writing a paragraph for each scene. And so we drove around Central America, and every time we turned up somewhere, we were like, hey, excuse me, is there anything really weird here? And they would go, oh, there's been a flood and a road has collapsed, or there's a fire on the hill, or there's this strange festival of the dead that's going on over it. And then we would go there, and then they could just make it up.
Holy cow.
And then we shot it a bit like a documentary.
So a shot like that, is that a real shot of a real ship up in the hill, or did you add that?
Thank you for pretending that it looked good enough to be that. No.
But before you started the shot, were you like, I want to put a boat up there?
No, I'm going A, B, right? Something to something else. So I'm gonna put something up there. It might be a giant wall. It might be the ruins of a city. It might be a boat, right? And I decide afterwards, based on the edit.
In the context?
Yeah.
This is crazy to talk about because it's the complete opposite of how traditional sets work. Generally, you have limited time. Everyone is costing you money there. It's you have to be efficient with the resources you have.
It wasn't like on a movie set where it's $500,000 if you screw up. If we screwed up and we wasted a whole day, oh no, £2,000. And so there was a lot less pressure. And so you can take risks, and I think fortune favors the brave. Mm-hmm. When you can't risk anything and you can't fail, you get really trapped. Some of this is done in my bathtub at home.
What a segue. So back in my bathtub.
Water illuminating from below, it's such a complicated thing to render, and I had no idea how to do it.
Yeah.
And so I filled my bathtub, and then I got a toy model of the same fighter jet.
Oh, hell yeah.
No way, hold up.
And then I got a mag light, and I sort of held it underneath, and I was trying to flash it with my thumb.
So the light we're seeing on the water is what you filmed in the bathtub?
Yeah, there's loads of little nonsense tricks in this. It's just trying to get a collection of little pieces that help you put together a shot.
This is actually really novel for me. I mean, even today, that's a non-trivial thing to try to pull off in 3D. So the jet there that we see as it rolls up and then starts sinking, is that a 3D render of the jet, or is that the plate?
So that's a 3D render.
Okay.
And the tentacles are just little tube things. You create a spline and another thing can follow the spline. And so the film was going to live and die on the creatures at the end, right? Now, I didn't know how to animate. And so basically there was a rope simulation. So I'm animating that one end of the rope and everything else is just happening. It's just
some turbulence.
Yeah, and so all that little bioluminescent stuff that's going on, that's purely in After Effects. That's not happening in 3D.
Wait, how the heck would you do that?
How?
Well, no, you render passes out. So I had a pass that is the texture of the creature. I had a pass which is the translucency. A pass which is the bioluminescent pattern, and then I'm doing all the flickering and the animation in After Effects.
Sure, okay, yeah, absolutely. Were there other people doing effects on this as well, or you did all of them?
No, it was just me, yeah. And there was like 250 of them.
In your bedroom and bathtub.
In the bedroom, yeah. But you're highly motivated because in your mind you're going, if we pull this off, maybe something will happen. This is my shot. So like you just go for broke, don't you? Like,
Absolutely, yeah.
I wouldn't have got Godzilla without this. I had to do that logo in my bedroom.
You've got one busy bedroom.
Yeah.
I'm just saying, I've seen a lot of your movies, and I know your bedroom comes into play in a lot of them.
You're very welcome to visit.
Wait, what?
That's the thing. We need a tour of this bedroom, because this is where the magic happens. All these crazy movies come out of this bedroom.
Hey, I'm in Gareth Edwards' bedroom hiding from cephalopods right now. I need to get these Death Star plans to my friends in the Rebel Alliance, but the Empire is constantly trying to steal my data. And that's where today's sponsor, Surfshark VPN, comes in. By encrypting all internet traffic, Surfshark VPN keeps my sensitive information private, even when on public Wi-Fi. Think of snoops and data miners as malicious tentacles, always trying to get your personal information with their suction cups. Now think of a VPN like your pet shark. So as long as you're riding that shark, these tentacles can't touch you. But Surfshark VPN can do so much more. While I'm waiting for these plans to transfer, I'm gonna watch a movie. Now, if the movie you're trying to watch isn't available in your area to stream, you can connect to a server where it is available and you'll be good to stream. Now I can keep up with all my movies and TV shows while I'm on my vacation to Scarif. Surfshark even lets me see better prices by hiding my location and devices from travel sites that want to charge me extra. Sounds like it's the perfect time to start looking up discount tickets to Alderaan. Surfshark is super easy to get set up, and they even have a super easy to use browser extension. Secure your privacy today with Surfshark. Go to surfshark.deal/corridor and enter the coupon code corridor to get 3 extra free months. That's surfshark.deal/corridor, or just hit the link in the description. All right, now back to React. No.
What I love about this movie is how it gives a really good sense of scale in almost every single shot.
Godzilla and I think the first Pacific Rim were the films that were like, okay, let's embrace CGI and like do scale justice.
And you learn a lot of little tricks along the way. Purposefully, we've put a little few tops of buildings in, because if you don't have that, it's just a load of smoke. You know? And so you're putting little details in to sort of go, we all know that's the size of a person now, therefore this must be massive. And then it's also got to go off screen.
Things going out of frame always is like one of those classic, I feel like,
Breaking
scale
frame.
tricks where you're just like, yeah, sometimes it's too big.
This movie was a big learning curve for me in terms of how these kind of movies are made. All the big set pieces on this film are prevised out. So you end up having that stuff really fleshed out, you know what I mean? Like overly fleshed out, to be honest. Like if you look at the previs, it's pretty much identical. Like we didn't stray at all, because you've got second unit directors and all sorts of things going on where they're getting elements for these shots. And so I came out at the end of it going, previs is just a starting point. You know what I mean? It should be a starting point, and then you should evolve and grow from there. Because when you stood in an environment, whatever you thought 6 months ago in your bedroom, you're gonna have a much better idea or be way more inspired in the moment. This was day one of filming.
Such a sick
This was
shot.
a convention center in Vancouver.
Really?
Yeah.
Day one.
Yeah.
With that many, how many extras are there?
Like quite a lot, yeah.
Yeah, we're like, all right, here we go.
And this was added late. I wanted to do this, and I did a little storyboard for it, and the previous people were like, we're out of time and money, so the previous never had that shot in it. And then, thank God, once we had presented it to the studio, they then magically added it. So it's like a double-edged sword, because previs is it can become quite prescriptive, but it equally, for people who aren't imagining it finished, they see it and go, holy cow, and it gets films greenlit, it gets actors excited, you know. So it's this love-hate relationship with it to some extent.
This shot, oh my God.
Yeah.
The Halo jump was so sick.
And E Squared did all the sound design on this film. You mainly just hear that. I love the fact that it's still got this bravery about it with the perspective shifts.
So you get a big movie like Godzilla, you see it through to completion, people dig it, and then you get this call from a franchise called Star Wars.
It's, Rogue One.
You're experiencing these bigger and bigger movies at this point.
Yeah.
I assume you're getting more comfortable in that role as a director and commanding all of these different things happening.
I made this very small, tiny movie, and there was a lot of great things that came out of having all this freedom. And then I got this amazing opportunity to do this massive blockbuster, and there's a lot of amazing things that come out of that too. I really want to combine the two things and try and have this organicness, but with all this scope and scale. How do we do that but with Star Wars. We had a virtual camera, and so they set up 20 seconds of animation or 30 or something, and it would loop, and it would just loop and loop and loop. And you could just kind of follow the X-Wings, and you could be attached to them. Like this shot was all found doing that, and then you go down with it, and then they pretty much show you it done.
I imagine that was a lot of fun.
It was.
So Grand Moff Tarkin here is a digital character based off of a real performance that you have on set. What is your feeling going into this movie, bringing an actor back from the grave?
That's a way to put it.
I think now if we did it, it'd be very different techniques. But back then, they have to wear the stupid helmets. And despite what anyone says, it limits your head movement.
We have a few of those here, and I like what they do from a data perspective, but oh my God, this is so uncomfortable. Oh.
The other thing that was super interesting about it is the lighting was different to A New Hope, you know what I mean? We weren't emulating the cinematography of A New Hope. And what happened is when ILM started comping shots, they'd do exactly what was there in the HDRIs, and you'd just go, what's not right? The lighting on A New Hope is so embedded in your brain, that's kind of what he looks like. And we had to dial the CG and to like cheat what was there on the day and be a bit more like the lighting of A New Hope. And then it started to go, oh, that's Tarkin. It was a very strange thing, because you'd think the face would work in any situation, but no, in a different lighting setup, that's Peter Cushing. But in this kind of lighting setup, that's Tarkin. And we were trying to get Tarkin.
One of my favorite parts of this whole movie were all the space battles. Like that ship that didn't have enough time to jump and it just like,
Oh, that's sweet.
We knew this was going to appear, so you go, well, there's an obvious gag here, isn't there? And you leave it up to ILM, like they invent all the details.
Was working on Star Wars everything you dreamed it would be?
You watch this film, and you're a little kid. This was what you thought the world was. You thought you'd be able to go into a cockpit of an X-Wing. So when you're actually on the set of a movie like Rogue One, and there's a real cockpit of an X-Wing, or you're flying around with X-Wings, it feels correct. It feels like, finally, this is what it was supposed to be. All that other stupid stuff about getting a mortgage and a job, that was nonsense. We're back to what was promised. And it's only afterwards, when you go back to a mortgage and all the boring stuff, you go, did that happen? That was kind of weird and surreal and very fortunate.
This has been one of the longest episodes we have ever filmed, so there's definitely a whole bunch of extra content here. Extra part of this episode exclusively on quarterdigital.com, so if you want to see more uncut goodness here, check it out. Link in the description.
All right, well, Gareth, thank you so much for coming on. Like, every single film we went through here has, been a continued inspiration to us, and it means a lot that you come here and sit down and go through it all with us.
And now you're going to come back to my bedroom, right?
Yeah, and we'll make a movie.
Wait a minute.